Yo, what is up, guys? Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully, you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So, it's the morning after the night before, and what happened last night was crazy. It's got a lot of people talking, a lot of people heated, including myself last night, I can't lie. But yeah, I've been seeing the reactions to this fight, things of that nature. And I wanted to expand on it and explore a couple of topics that I've seen discussed online. The first one was that the fight was fixed, the fight was scripted. Now, listen, you guys know me. I certainly don't doubt fixed fights in boxing. I've suspected certain fights of being fixed, things of that nature. And is that possible in this fight? Of course, yeah. We saw what sort of event it was. It was basically a quasi-exhibition. I know it went on Tyson's record, but it was what it was in that sense. It was a bit of a circus act, right? MMA versus boxing, you know. So yeah, of course, a fixed fight is always possible in such a scenario, but for me, it was the energy of Tyson Fury in there. Maybe he's a great fucking actor. Maybe he's a great actor, but in numerous parts of his fight with Francis Ngannou, I saw desperation. I saw panic in his eyes. I saw a guy who didn't really want to be in there. I felt as this fight was playing out, it seemed like Tyson Fury would have rather have been anywhere else but in the ring. And, you know, obviously in scripting a certain fight like this, scripting it in this way, it generates massive interest for a rematch, of course. But at the same time, it greatly undermines the sport of boxing. It really does undermine the sport of boxing. Is the motive of having a big rematch with Ngannou worth undermining the sport of boxing in general? And obviously, ignoring Francis Ngannou, there's big money fights for Tyson Fury in boxing. Undisputed with Alexander Usyk's a big fight. Anthony Joshua is still a massive fight with massive money. It's not like there's only Ngannou and he's the only payday for Tyson Fury. I think in that case, the scripted fight theory would be a lot more plausible. I don't understand why the custodians of boxing, the promoters, would undermine their sport, ultimately undermining their product in the long run, just to get another quick payday against Ngannou. Maybe there's something bigger at play here. That's possible. Maybe there's more of a long-term angle they have in mind. It's possible. But listen, man, I've been saying it for a long while. I think Tyson Fury is way past his best at this stage. I do. And I said that after the Derek Chisora fight. I saw signs in that fight, and not just that fight, the Dillian Whyte fight, the third Deontay Wilder fight. You know, Tyson, his balance is nowhere near what it was. His athleticism is nowhere near what it was. His ability to move in the ring, his foot speed is nowhere near what it was. His reactions are much, much slower. His accuracy is worse. It looks like his hand-eye coordination has got worse, actually, when you look at Tyson Fury fight. And we all knew that when Tyson Fury came back, by the way. He came back, had a couple of tune-ups, was prodding and probing like he did back in the day, but he wasn't the same with it. He wasn't moving as well. Hence why he then changed his style up to be more aggressive against Wilder in the second and third fights, and even against Dillian Whyte to a lesser degree. He changed his style up. He was more front foot heavy. He was more flat-footed because he couldn't do what he used to do. He changed his style because his physicality, because his athleticism was dwindling. After those years out, after the drinking, after the weight fluctuations. That's why he changed his style. And now, Tyson Fury, in my opinion, is deteriorating to the point where even this new style is starting to unravel. It's starting to unravel. I think Tyson Fury's played the game now for a while. I think he knows himself his body is failing. I think he knows himself his body is slowing down. And I think those around him know that as well. Hence why his career's been so carefully managed in the last couple of years. You know, they took this Ngannou fight. It was a big payday. And, they probably felt it was no risk. It was like a cash grab. It was robbing the bank. More than likely, Tyson didn't train properly for this fight. Didn't train hard enough. Wasn't taking it seriously. And when you're a guy in Tyson Fury's position who is dwindling already physically, you get performances like this. I don't think people understand how much Tyson has declined. And I was saying it after the Chisora fight. I saw things in that fight that were concerning. Mainly the balance and coordination. And listen, I may be wrong. Maybe this was the greatest script of all time. This fight with Ngannou. Maybe it was. But listen, when he fights Usyk, we will see whether my theory is correct. By the way, that's if he fights Usyk. But if Tyson Fury continues to decline and is as declined as I think he is, I think it may be an easy fight for Usyk. The only way Tyson Fury has success against Usyk is by fouling, is by cheating. He can't box with Usyk. He's not as nimble as Usyk. He's not as fast as Usyk. He's not as versatile as Usyk. Usyk is better in every aspect aside from size. Aside from height, weight and reach, Usyk has everything on Tyson Fury. And I expect that fight to be relatively straightforward for Alexander Usyk. I'll lay my cards on the table now. I think Tyson Fury is a severely diminished fighter. And listen, I'll be proven right or wrong if this Usyk fight happens. In a sense though, like I was saying last night, I don't really want to see it now. It's killed my anticipation for that fight completely. I don't want to see Tyson Fury fight full stop. If I was him, I would retire on the spot and go into hiding. I would retire on the spot and fucking live on an island. Because it was embarrassing. It was a stain on boxing and a black eye on boxing. And regardless, if you felt this fight was fixed or not, the result is the same. Tyson Fury is terrible for the sport. He's embarrassed the sport. And he's further undermined boxing's credibility. In a sporting sense now. Boxing's credibility has always been really, really poor. Due to corruption, due to bad judging, due to fights not happening. Boxing's credibility's always been in the gutter. But now, even from a sporting aspect, even from a martial arts aspect, boxing has been undermined here because of this fight. And that for me is why I'm not fully on board with the fixed fight theory. I'm not saying it's not possible, but in doing so, they've just undermined the whole sport in and of itself. And these guys have skin in the game. They're going to want to continue promoting certain fighters. Nights like this, yeah, they're going to cash out, but in the grand scheme of things, is it good for boxing? Is it good for the credibility and marketability of boxing? In my opinion, no. And yeah, listen, I'm not saying that a scripted fight here isn't possible. Maybe there's some long-term plan in mind. I get that. But I just see how Tyson Fury was reacting in that fight, how he appeared from a mental perspective, looking into his eyes. To me, he looked panicked. To me, he looked shook. To me, he looked embarrassed. Unless he's a great actor. I mean, if that is the case, Tyson shouldn't be boxing. He should be in Hollywood with the other weirdos, right? But yeah, Tyson Fury, for me, he should retire. He's embarrassed himself. He's embarrassed his family. He's embarrassed his friends. He's embarrassed boxing. And he's embarrassed those people who have had his back over these last few years. Despite his absolute nonsense, despite his ducking, despite his excuses, every time they rode out for this guy, and now look. Here we are. And like I said, whether you think this fight was fixed or not, Tyson Fury has taken a big, steaming, runny dump on boxing. But he's still got his little gullible fans who are going to excuse this in some way. They'll try and make out they'll come out with some sort of convoluted narrative to keep on backing Tyson Fury. But ultimately, it's abundantly clear that Tyson Fury is terrible for boxing. What's next? I don't know. Maybe Tyson Fury comes out and needs another mental health break. Maybe he starts feeling sad again. Telling fake stories about driving 200 miles an hour in his Ferrari. Things like that. Maybe there's part 2 of the mental health saga. Maybe there's part 2. Again, that appeals to the lowest common denominator, doesn't it? When you live in such a pussified, weak society. Embarrassing. Retire. Tyson Fury needs to retire. Share your thoughts below. Peace.